At 17, Knox Jolie-Pitt, the youngest son of Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie's twins, has stunned the public with his nearly 6-foot height, now standing shoulder to shoulder with his movie star father. From the little boy once cradled in his parents' arms on the cover of People magazine, Knox has grown into a tall, striking teenager whose features bear an uncanny resemblance to Brad Pitt. This transformation is more than just a sign of maturity. It also evokes reflections on the bonds within the Jolie-Pitt family after nearly a decade of turbulence. Unlike most Hollywood star kids, Knox is known as the quietest son in the family. He doesn't use social media, never gives interviews, and is rarely seen in public unless accompanying his mother or engaging in simple everyday activities. Yet it is precisely this silence that makes every one of his appearances a moment of fascination. A recent photo of him carrying a watermelon beside Angelina in Los Angeles, towering almost a head above his mother, quickly went viral, a stark reminder of how swiftly time has passed. The small boy of yesterday has stretched into a full-fledged young man. His maturity is even more evident in glimpses from the boxing gym, where his hands are wrapped, his frame is toned, and his focused gaze reflects discipline and seriousness far beyond his years. Beyond his stature, Knox moves people with a face that increasingly mirrors Brad Pitt's. From his eyes, sharp features, high nose bridge, to his signature tight-lipped smile, all call to mind Brad in his youth, just entering Hollywood. International media have often hailed Knox as Brad Pitt's perfect double, and even Angelina Jolie herself once smiled in surprise at how much her son resembles his father. Knox, in this way, has become a living reminder of a love story that once captivated the world, an unforgettable trace, even long after his parents' noisy split. Public interest in Knox deepens because of the circumstances he lives in. Brad and Angelina's divorce, stretching over 8 years, was once dubbed one of Hollywood's most turbulent separations. After intense legal battles, Angelina gained primary custody, while Brad was granted visitation rights. Since then, the relationship between Brad and his children has grown distant. Several children have openly distanced themselves. Maddox and Pax are virtually estranged, while Zahara, Shiloh, and Vivienne have each dropped Pitt from their names, publicly siding with their mother. In this portrait, Knox stands out as a rare exception. He has not openly opposed his father, nor has he displayed resentment. On the contrary, Knox continues to carry the Jolie-Pitt surname, quietly maintaining a subtle bond, even if the public seldom sees him with Brad. This silence, in its own way, has turned Knox into the fragile last bridge linking Brad Pitt and his children. In less than a year, Knox will turn 18, a milestone of adulthood, and the moment when Brad and Angelina's children gain full autonomy in their relationships with their parents, free from court rulings. Brad Pitt, now 61, is said to be longing for reconciliation with his children, especially with the twins, Knox and Vivienne. Though he knows the path will not be easy, he still holds hope of at least finding common ground with his youngest son, the child who most clearly reflects him in both appearance and temperament. Knox is quiet, calm, and emotionally reserved, but perhaps it is precisely this demeanor that allows him to remain neutral. And when the time comes, it may also allow him to listen and to understand. Looking back at Knox Jolie-Pitt's journey of growing up, one can easily see that he was raised in an environment far different from most Hollywood children. Instead of attending prestigious schools, Knox and his 5 siblings were homeschooled under Angelina Jolie's guidance, with private tutors tailoring their learning. This not only protected them from the constant glare of public scrutiny, but also gave them the freedom to explore the world in their own way. Knox once studied sign language, experimented with building robots, and even learned to fly a plane at just 9 years old. These experiences nurtured his curiosity, creativity, and the belief that with patience and discipline he could achieve anything. Sports, too, have been an important part of Knox's upbringing. Beyond boxing and Muay Thai, he has competed in youth tournaments and even won medals, showing his seriousness in training rather than treating it as a fleeting hobby. Angelina Jolie has often said that she encourages her children to find what truly excites them, and for Knox, the passion for sports and technology has become an essential part of his identity. He doesn't need to become a star like his parents, nor step onto a glamorous stage to prove his worth. He is quietly, yet firmly, shaping a path of his own. What makes Knox stand out even more is his quiet and composed nature. While his sister Shiloh once made headlines worldwide with her bold tomboy style, and Vivienne recently drew attention by joining Broadway, Knox has remained in his peaceful corner. Rarely does he laugh loudly before the camera, let alone make public statements. Yet it is this very silence that creates his allure. Knox seems like a mirror image of a young Brad Pitt, not loud, not boastful, but quietly captivating through sheer presence. Amid the tension that has shadowed the Jolie-Pitt family in the aftermath of divorce, Knox's growth carries symbolic weight. Many of Brad and Angelina's children have openly chosen sides, but Knox is different. He has never publicly turned his back on his father, nor has he firmly aligned with one camp. Perhaps because he was still very young when the upheaval happened in 2016, Knox has managed to maintain a safe distance, keeping the conflicts of the adults from clouding his own feelings. This very silence has made him a final thread of hope, the fragile bridge through which Brad Pitt might one day regain a measure of connection with his children. As he approaches his 18th birthday, Knox's future seems wide open. He may continue his studies, pursue his passions, or simply choose a quiet, ordinary life away from the spotlight. Yet whatever lies ahead, Knox remains living proof of an undeniable truth. The children of Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, though raised amid storms, still carry within them beautiful values and bonds that neither time nor turmoil can erase. In less than a year, Knox Jolie-Pitt will officially turn 18, the age that marks legal adulthood but also opens countless paths for the future. Having been raised by his mother in an environment that values freedom and exploration, Knox has every opportunity to pursue academics if he wishes. He has shown a passion for technology, invention, and science, and even as a child had remarkable experiences such as building robots and learning to fly a plane. If he continues to nurture that passion, Knox could well pursue a future in engineering, technology, or even architecture, a field Brad Pitt himself has long been fascinated with. Perhaps, this shared interest could one day serve as a bridge, allowing father and son to rediscover common ground and heal a fractured bond through a mutual love of creation. Yet it is equally possible that Knox may choose a simpler path, a life far removed from the dazzle of show business, one of privacy and quiet, perfectly in line with his nature. And that choice would be no less meaningful. After years shadowed by the turbulence of his parents' separation, what Knox may yearn for most is not fame, but peace and autonomy. Whatever path he takes, his maturity and quiet discipline already set him apart from the noisy narrative often imposed on celebrity children. For Brad Pitt, the moment Knox becomes an adult may carry more meaning than any blockbuster film or prestigious award. By then, court orders and legal constraints will fall away, leaving only Knox's decision, whether he wishes to see his father, to listen, and to share with him again. At 61, Brad Pitt has often been described as longing to reconnect with his children, especially with the twins, Knox and Vivienne. And while Vivienne has already shown signs of choosing the Jolie name over Pitt, Knox, with his silence and neutrality, remains his father's final thread of hope. Perhaps the public, too, quietly hopes for a tender, ordinary scene. One morning in Los Angeles, Brad and Knox jogging together under the sun, or sitting side by side, speaking of technology, films, and the years gone by. A simple moment, yet powerful enough to warm millions of hearts, not only as a reunion between father and son, but as a message of forgiveness, of a family bond that can never be erased. Knox's future remains unwritten, and no one knows which path he will ultimately take. But one thing is clear. This quiet young man already embodies precious values, the strength of maturity, the resolve of individuality, and above all, the role of an invisible thread binding together two people who were once the world's most celebrated couple. Knox does not need to speak, nor does he need to stand in the spotlight. His very presence, his steady growth, is already enough to serve as living proof of hope and of the enduring love within a family once torn apart. Looking at Knox today, tall, composed, and bearing the features of Brad Pitt, admirers see not only a teenager coming of age, but also a fragile yet genuine hope that one day, the Jolie-Pitt family may find a moment of reunion, however small, to close a painful chapter and begin anew with warmth and humanity.